The trickiest part is that this immoral world pretends to be much more moral than the world before us, meaning than the previous generations. No other generation has claimed to be as moral as this one. No other generation has claimed, the title to having political correctness for the sake of humanity as much as this one. But yet we actually live in a generation that's more immoral than anyone before us. I can't really necessarily gauge the exact crimes of Sodom and Gomorrah or the generation of the flood versus the one that we have today, but I could surely tell you for sure that whatever we're doing here, they did over there. Whatever they did over there, we're doing here. I'm just not really sure about the quantity. But in reality, the world that we have today is not very different than the generations that Hashem destroyed, despite the fact that they claim to be moral, which actually is a very common tactic of immoral people, which is one of the things we're going to talk about tonight. Can there be morals? Can you be a moral person without following the Torah? Because many politically correct people, especially in the world of modern orthodoxy and the likes, like to think that you don't necessarily have to be a Jew to be a moral person, which is true. You don't have to be a Jew to be a moral person, but you do have to follow the Torah. But they don't think so either. They think that since you don't have to be a Jew, you don't necessarily have to be a follower of the Torah to be a moral person. And perhaps it's one of the things we're going to look at tonight, if it is indeed possible. Now, of course, there are certain things that there are certain people that are moral and better than others in certain aspects. But we're talking about from Aleph at Taf, from A to Z. Surely you're always going to find somebody that's exceptional in one thing. A person that doesn't follow the Torah perhaps, but he's extremely generous. Or he just has a smile on his face all the time and looks happy. Or, different things. Surely you'll find exceptional cases. You'll find the people that, are exceptional in certain aspects. But in reality, you'll see that without Torah, it's virtually impossible to be moral all around, from Aleph at Tav, from A to Z. And the reason why is because morals are things that are decreed by HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He's the one that decides what is right and what is wrong, and his decisions don't change. Unlike mankind, so which means that what you think is right, perhaps may be agreed upon many others like you, but is disagreed by Hashem. Now, who do you think is right? You or Hashem? And that's the thing. Hitler thought he was right. Hitler thought he was 100% right to kill as many Jews as he could get his hands on. He thought he's 100% right. The people like him, the people that followed him, the people that preceded him, also thought they were right for the same type of behavior of blood libels against the Jewish people and others, all types of massacres, all types of discriminations, all types of racism and so on. People that are, sick in their mind and they think that women are simply objects and they just decide to do what they wish with them whenever they want to, even if they don't know them. They think that they're right. Why? Because they feel like they have a certain desire and the woman is just there to fulfill it. Obviously, the woman disagrees, and most normal women would disagree. But nonetheless, the person, the criminal, thinks he's right. And this, again, all criminals, all psychopaths, all people that are sociopaths have an argument, and they're not all necessarily that extreme, but nonetheless, we understand better at times when we see it in an extreme example. The point being, Rabotai, is that our Torah tells us that there is no way that you could be a moral person without it, simply because you're not going to be able to control your desires without following the Torah. You're not going to be able to control your desires without following the Torah, or at least whenever you do control them, you're not going to control them for the right reason, which means that you're going to lose control at exactly the wrong time. Now, one of those things during this auspicious time of Tikkun HaBRIT is the issue of morality when it comes to intimacy. People have a wrong understanding of what relationships are there for. And unfortunately, what ends up happening is that people could literally lose their eternity and be similar to like the Walking Dead throughout their life. Even if they are keeping Shabbat and they're learning and they're doing all types of other mitzvot, but in essence, they're living on borrowed time. They're living in such a fantasy life where they are sure that they're going to heaven, but in reality, they've already decreed themselves that there is no heaven in their account unless they do tshuva for the lack of morality when it comes to their kedusha, their holiness. And when it comes to intimacy and so on, whether with themselves or otherwise. Now, the sages talked about this extensively and gave some very serious and critical teachings that a person that does not know them is simply not going to have the right tools to overcome this problem, overcome this addiction. I'm learning more and more as we teach more about this particular topic already for the last 6 or 7 years. I don't believe anybody else has covered this topic as extensively and as frequently as we have in the English language. And I have, Baruch Hashem, different people, men and women from around the world that are listening to this teaching specifically about Tikkun HaBRIT, about immorality, about promiscuity, about homosexuality and how to overcome that disgusting desire, and it isn't a desire, it's not anything other than that. If anything, you could call it perhaps a mental illness, but again, that illness comes from a desire that just loses control. This issue we've talked about extensively over the years, and Baruch Hashem, we've succeeded in helping quite a few people overcome these desires, including the hardest ones that are, like I said, homosexuality, promiscuity, both for men and women, and so on and so forth.